my name is Cheyenne Scott, and today we are going to be exploring how our character sounds and how they move. So I'm going to continue with the idea that I got from our inspiration walk, and I'm going to be building on this idea of personifying a jack pine tree. Let's get started. All right, for this exercise, the material that we're going to need is a chair. So we're going to be exploring movement by finding a variety of ways that we can sit in a chair. How many can you come up with? In my demonstration, I'm going to show you how each position or movement affects my character in different ways. And you'll also notice in my demonstration how I'll be adding my voice and I'll be saying the first line of the writing that I came up with from our inspiration walk for the jack pine. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. So I'm going to be saying this line over and over again in each position and just experimenting with my voice. So sometimes you might notice that I'm speaking really high up here, and sometimes you'll notice that I'm speaking very slowly. And so it's all just about experimenting and trying stuff out. I'll give you a demonstration of how I apply this exercise. Right now I'm sitting in a neutral position. I'm right in the middle of the chair, my feet are planted on the ground, my back is straight. This is neutral. So I just want you to notice what happens when I move just my torso forward. So this makes me think like this is a character that's very attentive, very tentative, and how that affects my voice is like this, and so my line might come out like, how my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. Like, it's very urgent. I urgently have something to say. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my torso even further. This is a completely different feeling for me. This makes me think that this is someone who is very thoughtful and maybe a bit defensive, like they're not going to look right at you. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. Yeah, they're kind of angry. That's interesting, didn't know that. All right, back to neutral. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to go backwards this time. So what happens if I move back? This is someone who's maybe a bit like scared, like unsure. Maybe, I don't know if I can trust you yet. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. It's interesting, it's different. So now I'm gonna go all the way back. Let's see how that influences the character. Oh yeah, this is someone who's like exhausted. Maybe they've like just come back from fighting and their bones literally like ache, like they just like have fallen into this chair. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. Yeah, kind of, right? So that's my sort of thought process going through this. I'm gonna try a couple more now. This time I'm gonna start adding in my limbs, but you can also like use your head too, right? Like sitting here just straightforward is very different from when I do something like this, right? Like, how my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind, right? Very different. Or even just looking up or down, it's gonna change the character. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. How my bones ache and creak fighting against the wind. So the final step is just to decide which position that you liked best for this character. The one that I liked the most for my Jack Pine is the one where I'm sitting forward with my hands on my knees like this. This feels like correct to me because this seems to be like a character who's a bit strong, and so they really have something to say and a bit of like authority in there with this character, where being forward like this makes a lot of sense, and they also take a lot of space, and I really like that in this character. And the voice, I really liked actually what I did when I was in this position. How my bones creak and ache fighting against the wind. How my bones creak and ache fighting against the wind. There's something a bit like stern about it, but it's also not too harsh, but it is like, listen up folks. That I really like about it. So that's what I'm gonna stick with for my base character, and that doesn't mean that we can't stray from being like this, right? Because that's just not natural as humans. We tend to move in different positions all the time. My character's here, I can move away from it, maybe I want to go back here, but then I always come back to my base again. This is going to be my base for my character. This is their stance. This is how they sit. So the idea here is just to play, just experiment, try some different things. There's no real right answer here. This is just for you to discover what you feel makes sense for the character. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see how many characters you come up with, and I hope you get a few good laughs in there. I know I certainly did, and I'll see you next time.